You're watching Tommy Talk with Izzy Miller on Tommy TV.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us for the special edition of Tommy Talk. I'm your moderator, Izzy Miller. Joining me is North School Principal Karen Kunzman, Memorial School Principal Eric Bruder, Junior High Principal Jessica Miller, and Taylorville High School Principal Matt Hutchison. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
So, can you please explain how next week will work for students and staff?
All right, I'll begin. First of all, we're just glad to begin school year and be able to have some students and staff in the building. Next week is going to be Monday and Tuesday will be teacher in-service days for staff. So we'll have staff both Monday, the 17th, and Tuesday, the 18th.
Students will be assigned specific days to visit the buildings at the junior high and high school based on their last name. And when they come into the buildings, teachers will, of course, introduce themselves, hand out any extra materials the students may need. We'll take a technology assessment and hopefully help prepare them for the first quarter of instruction.
And our Memorial Elementary teachers will be in the building as well. They will be contacting parents and parents of students that are assigned to their classrooms and setting up in-person or virtual meetings the 19th, 20th, and 21st. So be looking for those phone calls from the Memorial staff.
I'm going to tag along with Eric. Ours is going to look very similar to what they've got planned. North School will be a little bit different because we will not be passing out technology for our students to begin with. We're going to have paper packets. So the families will get their paper packets during the meet and greet that they'll have either the 19th, 20th, or 21st.
And because you're all starting at different dates and the different last names of what days they come, some people are confused on what day grades will be taken and instruction will truly begin.
For Taylorville High School, we're going to push out instruction for grading purposes on the 25th. We're going to push out information as soon as students get into the building and they finish their orientation. We're going to begin pushing out instruction, but grading purposes will begin on August 25th. Attendance, we are working on that as well. Actually, we're working on it today. We're going to have a Google document that students will click on every day as far as attendance goes.
Yes, and I wanted to add that in my building I do have 5th grade students. So 5th graders, they're set up for the orientation will be similar to the elementary buildings. Teachers will be getting a hold of those students and parents and arranging in-person meetings with those parents and students to welcome them into the building.
And the orientation that we're doing this year, obviously we're in a new time, but the orientation is something new. We've always had a freshman orientation to begin the year, but as we kind of looked at this year and the fact that we didn't really attend school in the spring, we wanted to kind of get students back in the building, give them an opportunity to meet with staff and have, build those relationships because they haven't been with those staff members. So having the orientation days that we have, we think it's a good way to start the school year.
Absolutely, and I feel like as a student, I am excited to go back to school next week and meet my teachers and it'll make me feel a lot more comfortable about approaching this online learning.
Sure.
At Memorial, if I could just add, we're really going to focus on the social and emotional aspect with our 3rd and 4th graders, making those connections with their teachers, as well as kind of getting to know the parents. We know that the situation is very fluid, and flexibility is going to be something that we're going to promote throughout our grade level teams. We are not so interested in where you're at in terms of your reading level and math. We want to know how you're doing, and we'll work in curriculum and we'll work in assessment. But the first few weeks, at least 2 to 3 weeks, we really want to build those connections and that community and focus on what supports parents are going to need at home to make this remote platform work. Our 4th graders should come to those meetings with their parents or guardians with their Chromebooks ready to go. And then our 3rd graders will get the Chromebooks when they come to the building, or we'll figure out another way to get them to them if it's a virtual meeting as well. So no stress there. It's about building connections and relationships that first couple of weeks.
I would agree on the relationship building, especially with me having kindergarten students in our building. That's their first experience in a school, and it's definitely going to look different than in years past. So that's where our conversation started with the meet and greet idea. Was kindergarten always began with a meet and greet, and first and second said, hey, what about us? And it's just kind of snowballed. And I think that it's a great way for all of us to start the year and build those relationships. I know a big concern for parents has been this 5 hours of instruction.
Right.
Kind of scary for a kindergarten parent to think of that. So I've tried to calm a lot of fears. We're not expecting 5 hours sitting in front of a computer. And if you think of a kindergarten, first and second grade classroom, a 5-hour day includes art, music, PE, lunch, recess, transitions, lots of discussions, and relationship building. And so the actual amount of time spent on task will not be a full 5 hours. We will offer what we would have offered to the kids during a 5-hour day.
Yeah, of course. And I think that a lot of kids, they sit at home and they struggle with motivation because they don't have the teacher looking over their shoulder all the time, telling them they need to stay focused, telling them that they need to get their work done and having a certain time limit. And I know as a student, I struggle with staying motivated without being engaged in person and in the classroom. So what advice do you have for students, or what do you think you will tell your teachers to help them stay motivated and excited about this upcoming school year?
Well, I'd like to add to that. One of the things we are going to ask teachers to do on Tuesdays and Thursdays while they're in the building working is to hold Google Meets with their courses, with their class periods. So they get a chance to touch base with the students, give a mini lesson, answer any questions that they may have, just to keep the kids engaged in the curriculum, but also to continue that relationship building that we've all kind of spoke about. So I think that will help keep kids motivated to some degree.
And when we talked about the Google Meets, that's a minimum of meeting one time with a staff member for that particular class. There will be teachers that try to set up additional Google Meets for students to interact. So we really like that idea. And I guess from the high school standpoint, when I look at this is so new. Asking the staff to be creative in keeping students engaged and interested in learning. Again, students have been out since essentially March 13th. So being creative in new ways for learning and teaching to happen, we think is important.
I think for my level, for parents to help keep kids engaged, it's just having a spot that's a workplace and not in front of the TV, where they have distractions, and just having everything that they need handy, like scissors and pencils and crayons and things like that. It is hard to keep them engaged. We will be pushing out some video lessons that will be like enrichment to our paper packets for people who do have access to computers. But it's not a requirement to sit and watch those lessons. They'll just be there for enrichment purposes.
Yeah, and with our utilization of Chromebooks at the 3rd and 4th grade level will be 1-to-1. I do want to take this opportunity, and if any parent or guardian is watching this and you have fears or some trepidation about that, or you don't have Wi-Fi access, feel free to call Memorial and we'll talk to you directly at 287-7920.
And going forward with, the school provides food throughout the school year. And now with online learning, some students don't get those 2 meals a day. And so what is the district doing to help the families that are in need of these meals?
Well, I've been working with food service. Megan Nunn, she is head of our food service here in the district. She works for Aramark. I've been working with her to design a way to collect that information from parents and students on a weekly basis. The school district will provide a 5-day meal pack, which will include breakfast and lunch each week to our students. And so we are working on a way to collect that information. You should see that coming out in the very near future, either this evening or tomorrow. It will be a website that parents and students visit to put in their information on where they'd like to pick up those meals that are provided.
You want to talk about the 3 days rather than everybody picking food up?
Yes.
One day they can pick it up on 3 days.
Sure, you can choose a day, Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, for where or which day you would prefer to pick up your meals. And we'll have pickup locations at the high school and the junior high, and also bus stops.
And so I know, Ms. Hutchison, you've already touched on this, but how will you track daily attendance? Because, some students about motivation, how will you track that?
At my level, we're going to use the Seesaw app, and that's something new this year. Parents can download that to a phone or to a device, and they would be able to interact with the teacher. Our teachers will push something out every morning, some kind of greeting, some kind of plan for the day of what activities their children might be able to do. And then we're just going to ask the parents to do some sort of a response. It can be a text back. It can be a video of their student doing the activity. It can be pictures. So that's the way that we're going to track that. But for people who aren't able to use the app, we would just appreciate a phone call to the school saying we're working on our activities today, or if they have questions, absolutely call us and let us know that they have questions and we'll help them along.
And what will be the difference on the district approaches the online learning curriculum? Because I know in the spring it was very emergency. We need to do this now, rather than now in the fall when we have everything planned out and we have a plan for going into how online learning is going to work.
It's going to be completely different than what it was in the spring. We are really we want students to focus on participation and engagement because grading is going to happen in the fall, where it didn't look that way in the springtime. So yeah, we want students and parents to make sure students are engaged in the lessons on a daily basis.
Well, we'll have student accountability more so than we did in the spring, with the grades that they will be assigned, and also with daily attendance. Right now we're working on a way to track that, and we'd like the students to be able to log in and show that they are present for school each day. So that will be much different than it was in the spring. Also, teachers will be in the buildings working on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and they will provide office hours each day to help students and answer any questions that they may have.
And I guess because, sorry, Mr. Bruder, but as we go through this, I want parents to know that, I mean, we are an email away, we are a phone call away from assistance and help. For anybody that's struggling, we talked about technology earlier. We know day one there's going to be technology issues. Those that don't have Wi-Fi or don't have their Chromebook or their Chromebook's not working, they just need to let us know on the first day, and we'll do our best to rectify that, make sure everybody has the technology that they need.
And one of the considerations that we all share is, with March 13th being our last day, there's going to be some definite curriculum gaps. So we're not going to be launching into, new challenges of content and curriculum. A lot of it will be review and assessment to see where our students are at. But the assessment and accountability piece will be also there for the grade levels, 3rd and 4th grade. Those grade level teams will work together to push out some continuity of assessments each week and assignments. So it'll be a collaborative effort. The main thing that we want parents to know is if there are issues, we want to communicate with you. We're a partner in this. We know that there are situations at home that we cannot anticipate, and quite frankly, no one can. So as long as we are seeing ourselves as partners in this educational process, I think it'll go all right.
I think a lot of things are changing, but we are very fortunate to live in a town where we have, the technology so we can communicate with each other and be safe and be at home to still learn.
I've been contacted by several parents about daycare situations. That 3 or 4 kids are at the same daycare and they have 3 or 4 different teachers, and we assured them that we're going to be working together as a grade level to collaborate so that no matter if your child's in my class or Eric's class, you're going to get the same availability of instruction, so that people who are in a daycare can actually get some of that stuff done ahead of mom and dad getting home from work. But speaking of parents who work, we do know that, with our little kids, they're going to have adult supervision, and we're fully aware that some people are going to have to do some of this work at night, and we're willing to be flexible about that.
If I could just piggyback on that, that's a great example of what I'm talking about with communication. For our building, we'll have Mrs. Jett and Mrs. Norris. We'll be pushing out the same content week after week, and they'll also be looking at the kids' assessments and what they turn in together as well. So that'll allow teams of teachers to really work from each other's strengths, and to really develop lesson plans that maybe address some deficits that we aren't aware of those first few weeks. So we see this as a process that will continue to evolve and to get better as we become more proficient in the remote learning platform.
Well, and to add to that, our district provided professional development this week to our teachers on a number of different applications, and especially in the Google Apps suite, to help them become more confident and comfortable with the technology. So we're continuing to provide that professional development and to help teachers as they push out that content to make sure we're doing the best that we can for our kids.
August 17th and 18th, we have some specific times for different grade level teams of teachers to get together and work with our tech coordinators as well as our tech professionals, our experts in the district. And the anxiety that is widespread with this situation is also shared by our staff, as well as us, if we're honest with ourselves. So we're all in this together, but we have a tremendous support team. We've got a super support staff, and I'm talking about everybody from aides to the cafeteria workers to the bus drivers to people recording this show right now, so we'll be fine.
I think we're fortunate to have this platform where we can come out and address issues that are going on in our buildings, and be able to share this with community, students, parents, and those that are interested. So yeah, we're very lucky to have Tommy TV for sure.
Absolutely.
Is there any last words?
We're excited. I mean, my teachers, they're a little sad that they don't get to do all this in person, but they cannot wait to meet the kids and the families and just get started. I think that we have talked about this as an admin team many times, that we're all planners, and this little bit of unknown right now has us all a little on edge, and I think we're ready to just get it into motion and see how it goes, and we're looking for great things to come about.
Well, with the understanding that there will be bumps in the road, but just like Mr. Bruder said, we're in this together, and so we're going to work as a team to provide with the best we can for our kids and for our families.
Just excited since March 13th. The high school has been an empty shell with not very many people in it except for custodians and myself and the lunch personnel at early on. So I'm excited to get going and to have teachers in the building and students, even though it's just for a day or two, just to see students. It's going to be good to see students' faces and get back into the teaching and learning that we're looking forward to.
Awesome. Well, I'm really excited for how the school year will go.
One more thing.
Yes.
We cannot wait to get back to in-person learning.
Everybody else feels the same way. Yeah, absolutely.
Soon.
Absolutely.
Soon.
So just a final note, though, I just want to remind, I know with my building at the junior high, just to remind parents and students that 5th grade will have individual conferences with their teachers. So you will receive information from those teachers. Grades 6 through 8, be looking for those letters in your mailbox about your assigned day to come visit the building, and we look forward to seeing you.
Yes.
I know all this information made me feel better as a student walking into online learning, so I hope all of you at home, this made you feel better as well. Thank you all for joining us. For Tommy TV, I'm Izzy Miller.